What up YouTube, BonzEye here, back with another video, and well, I'm smiling, but unfortunately that's not how I feel on the inside, because I just watched Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender, and what can I say?
Disappointed!
Anyway, so I actually just recorded a full in-depth review of my thoughts about the series, and it's a pretty long video that's gonna be. And honestly, like, because of how I feel about the show, I didn't want to just release like one long video. I kind of wanted to have a short video where I sort of keep my thoughts kind of concise, just for those of you who are kind of interested in my impression of the show, but don't want to watch like a long video where I really break down not everything, but like most of my impressions about the show. So that's what this video is for. I'm gonna try to keep it under 10 minutes where I just talk about my impressions of the show. If you're interested in any other video, though, you can like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check that out. That should come out soon after this one. Anyway, so let's get right into it. So overall, like I said, I am very fundamentally disappointed in the show, and I guess I have to go straight to the thing that really pissed me off about the show, and that was the dialogue in the show. Just horrendous dialogue. There was a lot of exposition given here and there, and it started right in the very first episode when somewhat to a certain degree when like you first had that soldier talking to the Fire Lord, but the big one that really triggered me and let me know that this was probably going to be shit was when Aang started to go on this like existential exposition with Appa, especially. Some of the dialogue with Gyatso before that was pretty bad already, but then when you got to the exposition with Appa, I knew, okay, these guys kind of suck. That said, throughout the show there were a bunch of times when certain things happened. Like the writers did change certain things, right? Like they added in the whole sequence at the beginning of the show, which at first I liked, but then towards the end of the first episode, I grew to sort of like, maybe this wasn't necessarily a bad idea. I won't get into it. You can check my longer video for why I feel that way about that. But there were a bunch of times when they included scenes or like brought scenes forward and certain changes to the structure of the plot, which I feel like made me feel that there was like two different layers of writers working the show. There was someone who was very good at bringing together plot points from throughout the show, combining them, right? Like in the Omashu episode where they sort of combined the fake Airbender people combined with the Omashu scene, combined with Jet. Was Jet in Omashu? I'm not sure if he was, but either way, like the combination of these different episodes all into one, compressing it all together was like really well done. There's some good ideas there that they had structure-wise, right? They had a bunch of scenes that went inside, which was like one of the ones that I liked was when they actually included Aang and Zuko speaking more after Zuko rescued Aang from the tower, right? They didn't really show much of that in the anime. It wasn't as well handled because the dialogue between Zuko and Aang sort of fell flat, and there were some changes that I think they might have done which would have helped to make that land better, right? Which to me was simply just making showing more scenes of Aang reading the diary and showing him not just read the diary for the Avatar's sake, but showing Aang read the diary and learn more about Zuko himself through the diary. That way, when they meet them and sort of have that dialogue exchange, it would have like come off better. And so in a way, it's like they created an opportunity for themselves to develop these two characters better, but then they missed the landing anyway. They made their own space gap, but then they didn't take that gap, to use a rugby analogy for some reason. Jesus. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of like inconsistencies here. Another thing that I feel inconsistent about were the casting choices, right? Some of the cast I think did a pretty good job. I really like Zuko's actor, for example, and Saka's actor, and Iroh. Iroh's kind of really easy to get right. Like, to be honest, I like Iroh in every rendition of Avatar, even M. Night Shyamalan's version of Iroh I really enjoyed. So it's kind of hard to get Iroh wrong, so I won't want to. But especially getting Saka right to me was very impressive. I was kind of worried that some of a lot of woke stuff today in the modern media landscape, but they managed to give Saka they made him like a responsible character, much more like mature and developed than his anime counterpart. But for the live action, I think that worked better, so I was happy with that change that they did to him. But then I was also disappointed by them taking away certain aspects of his character. Obviously, the whole misogyny aspect that was removed, I think definitely detracts from Saka as a whole. In a way, I sort of feel like they strengthened him and made him like a better, more mature character, but at the same time they stripped away some of his core weaknesses. And so I think like the actor's charisma makes me like him more, and I already like Saka, so I wound up having a much more favorable impression of him. But if I'm trying to be objective, he's sort of like bland, which is kind of hard for me to say because I like the actor's portrayal of him so much, and I liked certain changes that they did to him, but there just wasn't really much of an arc or trajectory to his character. And it wasn't just for Saka, but I think I can speak on Saka's character more because there's like a lot of different dimensions to it. But I feel like with that lack of trajectory can also apply to a lot of the other characters, Kitara definitely, and Aang to a certain extent. There just wasn't enough like a character arc that was shown throughout the show, and yeah, it was just sort of poorly handled in that regard. And so yeah, as far as like, so I mentioned the better actor casting choices, the ones that were weakest for me. Unfortunately, I really do have to say that I was quite disappointed with the lead actor, the guy they chose for Aang. He just really didn't sell it for me, and he was given bad dialogue, mind you, but there's sometimes when, like a kid there's a certain level that they can reach where you're still willing to forgive them, but I just don't feel like he did a good enough job for me to completely forgive him. He seemed like a nice kid though. I've seen some of the YouTube videos of him smiling and being happy, and so I want to like him. I do want to like him. Like there's a level, like I'm willing to give him a pass because he's a kid, but he still has to like meet me halfway, and unfortunately I just don't feel like he did that. Other than him, I don't agree too much with the casting choice. One that bothered me somewhat was Azula. I wish she had sharper. I sort of mentioned this in my review of the trailer. I do wish the Azula actress had like sharper features and came off as more crazy-eyed. In my opinion, she seemed like she didn't seem crazy enough. She just didn't seem local. I guess is the term. Like kind of, maybe if they got a Spanish, like a Spanish female to play the character role, I don't know if that's why or whether or not they would do such a casting choice, but I'd imagine like a female with that sort of like Latina wannabe to play Azula, and I just, that's like in my mind who Azula would be. And this actress, not a terrible actress by any measure of the word, but yeah, she didn't quite land in that regard. So overall, I have a lot of complaints here and there. Definitely about the writing. I'll mention about the CGI. For me, once again, the CGI very inconsistent. There were some aspects of the CGI that I really enjoyed. My favorite scene actually was the moon spirit at the end of the series, episode 8, when they went out and destroyed the Fire Nation ships. I thought that was a great scene. Some of the fight scenes were sort of good with the animation and stuff, but they weren't fantastic. It didn't be as fluid and stuff. Like the One Piece episodes, fight scenes where they like stayed far away and showed you everything, you could see the movement and stuff like that and appreciate the combat, and didn't, they kept good cuts and stuff, which they typically do, which you understand why, because maybe these guys weren't the best martial artists, but definitely Zuko was like freaking going hand with the kicks and shit like that. That kid's freaking fire. So yeah, Zuko definitely had a lot of the best fight scenes, like the fight scene between him and Kitara, but then there were some times when like the fights were cut too much and I didn't get to enjoy it as much. So yeah, can't really think of a fight that disappointed me too much, but not too many of them really impressed me. So that's what I'll say as far as the fight scenes. And the CGI was, sometimes it was pretty good, like I said about the last episode, but there were sometimes when it was pretty bad, like in the first episode when we got introduced to Aang and so jumping and flying from one place to the next. It was kind of disappointing because the very first fight scene when we saw the Earth guy spy fighting with the Firebender's guy looked pretty good, but then you cut to the next scene when you see Aang, or the scene after when you see Aang, and it was kind of disappointing to see that, oh, that was pretty good there, but then bad here. So it's like inconsistencies between the CGI. So overall, I did a much more thorough rating where I even reviewed like my thoughts on the CGI and the casting and stuff in my long review, but in this one I'm just gonna say what my overall score is. So spoiler alert for my videos that I'm gonna release later. Overall, I feel like the series left me with like a meh, like a genuine meh, and I'd say objectively it might be a 4 out of 5 for me. This series, like, kind of bad. and that's objectively without personal bias. If I include my personal bias, I'd say it's like a 5. I wound up enjoying it, but it was meh. It was meh. Like I enjoyed it. No, actually, to be honest, it was more like a 6. Personal bias included. I wound up enjoying it anyway. Nostalgia and stuff like that. But I feel like most people would give it like a 5 or a 6. Objectively, though, I'm not sure if it's that. It might even be a 4. So I'll leave my objective score at a 4. So yeah, that's my rating of the show. 4 out of 5 objectively, 4 out of 10 objectively, and 6 out of 10 emotionally or whatever. So yeah, that's my quick summary review of Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you enjoyed that review, please don't forget to like the video. If you're looking forward to my full in-depth review, you can subscribe to my channel. That should be out pretty soon. Next week, I'm definitely going to be watching and reviewing Dune 2, because that's one movie that I'm looking forward to. Definitely I'm looking forward to this year Fallout whenever it comes out, and Deadpool's movie whenever it comes out, and I don't know, there might be a few other good things coming out this year. So yeah, if you're interested in watching my reaction and my reviews of some of these shows, I'm going to be doing reaction videos. You can subscribe to my channel, and yeah, don't forget to like this video if you like it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this review. With that, this is BonzEye signing out. Catch you all later.